Today on AI Applied, we have not yet had a chance to really talk about Strawberry or O1 or QStar or whatever you want to call this new amazing ChatGPT model that's reasoning, that is leveling up how generative AI is being seen by the outside world, and also climbing that staircase to AGI. So we want to dive in a little bit because I think on day one, Jaeden, it was sort of hard to know. It's not like a new image generator or something like that where everybody could detect a difference right away. It's also very expensive to use. And so I think there's been some questions around, I know this is really powerful, but how is it powerful? And Jaeden, I know you've been playing with it. What have you sort of seen in this new model?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is like the results I'm getting out of it are definitely better. So in quality improvement, yes, 100%. Downsides, right now they're like limiting it to I think you get like 30 responses a week or something like that, where it just like doesn't feel like it's giving you that much. I'm like stressed out every time I use it because I'm like, oh, there goes one of my chances. Um, Other people say downsides literally doesn't bother me as it takes like 10, 13 seconds to respond to some stuff. To me, I do not care if it takes 13 seconds to respond and make like a piece of content or something I'm producing like 40% better. I'm like, fantastic. Because if it just gave me a general response and I had to go fix it myself, that would take me 10 minutes of tweaking like the copy on something. So if this thing's going to take 10 seconds, whatever. So really because of how much better it gets, I think it's worth the wait time. So that does not bother me at all. Overall, I've seen some really interesting commentary on what it actually is and how it actually works, and that maybe it's a little bit less magical than everyone thinks it is. Maybe this is just essentially the chain of thought or chain of reasoning, and they just pretty much put a prompt in that enforces how it actually does that. So there's not much of a moat on it, and any other AI model could do it. Slash Anthropic might already be doing it, and that might be how Anthropic got a bit of an edge and lead on them when it came to code. Overall, though, like, does it work? Yes. Are your results better? Significantly. For my tests, it was amazing. I was like, there's like always this. Every time a new AI model comes out, I'm always like, oh, I would love this to help me with my social media posts because I don't know, it just social media posts take so much of my brain power, and I'm like, and I've never actually found something that really can write them for me. Um, I know, Connor, your whole like LinkedIn is completely 100% automated by AI or whatever, but like mine isn't. So just
Not
kidding.
enough.
But
I wish.
I know, for real. But I did. So I ran a test and I was like, okay, write me like a LinkedIn post about, I gave it like a bunch of like bullet points and like kind of
Right.
a story. And I'm like, this is kind of the takeaway. And I said, copy the tone and style of this post. And I went and copied an influencer's post that I loved how they laid it out. I did it with the regular ChatGPT. It didn't. So it gave me this, it sort of did it like ChatGPT sort of does. But the problem was it didn't do like, how LinkedIn, you have like like bullet points and like a line and like all these,
Yeah.
like every
Yeah.
sentence is on its own thing. It's kind of got its own format. And that was the post I told it to copy the format of. It
Yeah.
didn't do a very good job of that. I went and got ChatGPT O1 to do the same thing, and it was incredible, immaculate. It had like 4-word sentences, 3
Right.
of them in a row, then a big long like it just copied the exact tone and style of it. And I was like, okay, amazing. Like I still have to go tweak it a little bit and stuff, but like it saved me at least 15 minutes on that post, and I'm producing it, and I posted the post, and it got more likes than my average posts. So
Yeah.
I was thrilled with it.
That's so I guess my question then comes in where, what I'm seeing is that it's definitely great on, coding, much better on coding and things like that. Definitely way better on math. When I've gone onto LinkedIn and tracked some of the folks who are using it, they're asking it really deep scientific kind of issues and things like that, where it's just better at. And clearly it again has taken a leap forward into, again, if OpenAI had talked about, I think it's these 5 steps toward AGI or whatever, and everything up to now has been stage 1, and now this is stage 2, which is reasoning at the level of a PhD student. The funny thing is that when I think about how people are going to use it, and as you know, like I'm just obsessed with adoption, right? So I work with a lot of companies just around how do just us normal people adopt it. I don't know if people are going to see a big leap because people don't necessarily need it to. It's sort of like, yeah, hey, my Ferrari kind of got to the store faster. It's like, right, but you didn't get to take the Ferrari out on the Autobahn. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's a better model, but is it capturing the potential of it? Probably not, unless you are in one of these fields where it's really doing that, and where it's using it for scientific thing, or advanced healthcare things and stuff like that. So the examples and the videos that OpenAI posted, which I thought were outstanding, really were these sort of things where they said, hey, we asked a professor of microeconomics to ask this question that's always really hard. Or the other examples are, ask it to do this crossword puzzle that my grandmother came up with that I know nobody had ever seen, and so could come up with that. Or just these kinds of things. And you're right, I think part of it is just it embeds chain of thought. And chain of thought, for those of you who don't know, it's probably the prompt that works most consistently. There's a lot of prompts like, oh, offer to tip it, all that kind of stuff. But really, if you're just talking about a prompt that works well, and I'm very anti-prompt engineering, as you might know, because I just believe you just talk to it like a human. That's how you get the best results. But there is value to be gained by good prompting. And the best prompt is when you say, use chain of thought reasoning, which just means think step by step, talk to me about the logical steps. So that means that instead of in this black box, you just get spit out an answer, and now you have to trust it. It shows you how it's thinking about it, and it gets you better results because it's stopping and pausing. And that's what Jaeden's talking about it takes now 37 seconds or something like that. So I guess I'm just wondering, Jaeden, if you've seen things out there where, I know that you're sort of seeing it as like, oh, it is better, but it doesn't feel like the giant leap for everyday use cases. Like it's like using it on a LinkedIn post is like the Ferrari to the store kind of thing, right? This is really for something bigger. So
Hey,
I'm
hey,
thinking,
my LinkedIn is a Ferrari, Connor. All right.
are, are you seeing it, or are you starting to sense the capabilities that it's going to have for everyday usage, or do you think that this is just a stepping stone behind the scenes?
Yeah, so obviously I'm not putting this thing through its most rigorous ringer, as some people have done, as Connor is alluding to while he trash talks my LinkedIn post. That being said, yeah, people are talking about using this for coding, for advanced mathematics, quantum physics, like all sorts of very interesting stuff that it is much better at helping with. Now, let's talk about what it actually does. This is
Yeah.
so interesting to me. I've seen a bunch of threads over on X where people are kind of breaking it down. Someone allegedly says that they cracked exactly how it works. They're going to open source a thing for it, which essentially is it's running through a chain of it's running through a chain of thought. You force it to run through a chain of thought, and I believe I could be wrong on this, but I believe because it takes 13 seconds, what it may be doing is not just like it takes longer to do it, but it's doing multiple runs through of the same prompt.
Oh, really?
So it's like you tell it to do something and it finds the keywords of the things that you tell it to do. So it's like, okay, there's like 5 directives in this like post that it's telling me to do. And it runs through the post with each directive and checks to make sure that it's
Oh,
followed
wow.
each directive, right? So it's like it's running through it 5 times and refining it each time. So it's not, I don't think it would be 5. Maybe they run it through 5 independent times for each task and then combine it all. I don't know, whatever, right? So in any case, though, it's essentially rechecking it against each of your points, and there's some clever things in there that they had to bake in. Now, could you come up with a really clever prompt or probably chain of prompts to do this?
Right.
Yes. And this is, I think, this is like maybe they have some special secret sauce in there, but really it's not like they trained a new model. They didn't spend $100 million on insane amounts of compute and GPUs to do this. They had some like very clever strategies for this to essentially get this into place. Now, the question that I think a lot of people are asking is does that mean that like if they're resorting to like essentially like clever prompt engineering to get our optimization, does that mean like they ran out of ideas to improve these products, or is this just kind of something to hold us over till they get the next model? And mind you, if this thing works, and I've been testing it, and it works fantastic, and it really optimizes it. Even if they get a better model with more compute, let's say theoretically they made a breakthrough there, and they put this on top of that, it'd be like
Right.
an extra breakthrough. So it makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you do it? But then there's also the fear that maybe they're doing it because they don't have the next step. So
Oh, boy.
that's kind of what people are talking
Well,
about.
okay, so maybe, but it's also what they're saying is that it's so expensive. I don't know. You're limited to some amount, right? Like 30
Yeah.
prompts or something like that, I think, or something. So, I mean, but doesn't that go against what you're saying? I mean, like, doesn't it? You don't think this is using more compute? Like, it seems like everything that they're acting around here indicates that it's not just like a better prompt built in, but they're actually really using more compute. No?
Maybe, but another way to think about it would be like, I mentioned there's like 5 things that it's checking. Well,
Yeah.
maybe like in a prompt, the way they interpret the prompt is like maybe there's actually like 20 things like tone and style and
Right.
combine this and combine that. Maybe there's like 20 things. So really what it like theoretically what it could be like is it's every prompt is running a prompt 20 times. So every prompt is
Oh,
20
that's
times is
interesting.
expensive or
That's
is much
interesting.
compute. And right now, when you use ChatGPT, you think it's unlimited. This is just some interesting, like nuanced stuff that we're discovering as we're developing AI box and kind of how our platform works there. But like you think it's unlimited, but really they have rate limits in place. And even if you're a premium paying user, ChatGPT has rate limits in place. And what they're actually doing is they're saying you're paying $20 a month. You can use X amount essentially within a month, and we're going to have some sort of rate limits because if you used it more than that, we would be losing money on it. So even a paid user has some sort of rate limits, and I believe that paid limit rate limits are still being subsidized. Power users are being subsidized by like eco users, people that don't
Right,
use it that much.
right.
So you still might not be like 100% like the a power user might not be a profitable user per se for OpenAI, but they kind of average it out and subsidize it with people that don't use it a ton. And so if all of a sudden every prompt is 20 or 10 or even 5 times technically more expensive, then it becomes like they got to put rate limits on it because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
super not profitable.
No, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I guess this is where we're ending up, right? So that people can understand on AI applied here when to use it, when not to use it. I mean, definitely test it out, see if it gives you better answers. And certainly if you are in coding space or if you're in a space where I think Ali Miller was doing this, where she was giving it real business use cases. Saying, "Hey, come up with a new product, all that kind of stuff." Like, apparently, it's much better at that. But test it on the normal sort of, if you're kind of an early user of ChatGPT, you might not see the difference. This might be, for more advanced folks or something like that. But don't feel like you're missing out. Just keep going on this. I don't think it's not like Claude where it sounds way more human or something like that. It just is a more advanced model, but test it out, folks. This is how we learn together. We have to keep testing it out. But anyway, I'm excited to see it, and we'll see where this all goes.
100%. Hey, listen, everyone. If you enjoyed the podcast today, as always, we love a review. But also, this week, Connor is going to be appearing as a special guest on our podcast, AI Hustle, talking about different ways to make money and monetize your AI ideas. So, if you're interested, we'll leave a link in the show notes to this, but you can search for it on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcast, over to AI Hustle to hear our special episode with the legendary Connor. Hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time.